Hello, rollers. Welcome back to the Roll Report. Welcome back to another episode of Classin' Up the Joint. As you may know, this is the part of the show where we ask electrifying people elegiac questions. I'm sure I'm using that word wrong, but it's what I'm going to pull out today. I am your host, Colin. I use they and he pronouns, and I am, as always, delighted to be joined by a fabulous guest who will introduce themselves.
Hello. I am Cary, or Oathbreaker Cary, on the internet, creator within the fantasy TTRPG video game space, self-proclaimed number one Paladin Warlock multi-class in this side of the plane. So I'm really happy to be here and to have a chat.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, self-proclaimed best is really, who else is going to do the proclaiming, right? It's
right.
in this culture. We need the Paladin hype person.
Yeah.
Just going to loudly cheer for it. Yeah, right?
Exactly.
Cary, thank you so much for joining us. I am so excited to get to dive into Paladins and things with you. But first, this is maybe a two-part question of, where did you get your start with RPGs? And maybe it's part one is, when did you start playing / GMing, as it may be, and when did that kind of transition to I really want to make this content. I want to have more character-based D&D content online, and I'm going to put it out there.
Totally, yeah. So I was a video game first person, and then into board games and TTRPGs. My dad had a rule when I was a kid that I had to be able to spell a video game before I could play it.
Hey, that's not a bad rule.
Yeah,
that kind of either gets to age appropriate, or you're just like, all right, I got to be doing really good in school and know my spelling.
Exactly. Yeah. It was a good check and balance. So yeah, started playing video games, and then I'd say probably teens is when I started to get more into card games and TTRPGs, and first started playing D&D in 2019. And then didn't really get into the content side of it until maybe 2021. I had always kind of had that creative itch of wanting to do something. I used to do way back, kind of a deep cut. I used to have a YouTube channel where I would do soccer stuff, because I was also a sports. I'm still a sports and jock person. Yeah. Primarily soccer is my poison. But I used to have a YouTube channel where I would do recaps on my favorite teams' games and whatnot. So it was always kind of wanted to do some kind of recorded outlet. But just sort of as I was kind of figuring out that content journey and what felt organic to me, I was I've been a nerd my whole life. So you know what? This is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. I think in this moment I'm also curious about your either building or acquiring. I'm want to call it I guess I'm gonna call it a costume, but when you've made a bunch of your content, it is as an Oathbreaker Paladin. Did you make it yourself? Did you acquire it somewhere? What is the little behind the scenes on that?
Totally, yeah. It's a combination of things that I've acquired. I don't want to take the label of cosplayer. I think that'd be stolen valor. I can't sew. I can't knit. I can't do any of those very practical skills that need to learn, because they would be very useful in just everyday life. But picking out a bunch of different items across the web and kind of speaking to that inner child, playing a little dress up, having fun with it, kind of getting into that character. It was cool to just kind of put a fit together, which helps for Ren fairs and stuff like that. And it feels cool to walk around in that get up and feel, really fully immersed. And it's a fun time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been cool. And I just love fashion in general. So it just kind of goes hand in hand.
I'm gonna throw out this thing that I have been watching recently. I'm gonna see if I still have the video somewhere. I do. How Jordan Peterson's suits taught me fashion. So very quick for our future listeners, I will put a link there. This is a vlogger called CJ the X, who is really intelligent, very philosophical. I think probably philosophy, student, but has this really brilliant thing about specifically mask fashion and its signifiers and how much it tells you about aesthetics and art.
Yeah.
Anyway, fascinating side tangent. I'll throw a link in there. But to remain focused, so I think also if we're talking about the content that you've been making, I can speak English. How would you describe your content or your TikTok channel to D&D enthusiasts who maybe have never seen any of what you have done?
Totally. I think it is an eclectic combination of things for sure. There is the Oathbreaker stuff, or Paladin posting, as I've come to call it, where it's skits and bits, and it's cool when I get to do collaborations and little stitches with other creators like Azim, Archmage's Azim, for those who might be familiar, Rhonda's the Green Mage, and our little trifecta of the rune docs and the shenanigans that may entail for that particular group, or just kind of one of the things I want to do with that character is very, and it's haphazard, of kind of building a story around him and the shenanigans that he gets into. So it plays kind of into the one shots we might do, and kind of ongoing streams we might do, where we might call back to certain events or catastrophes our characters may have been involved in, which feels like a fun way to kind of stitch together a bunch of the little instances that we create for ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds also like a little bit like the day in the life vlog of a paladin as an adventure party. That is, it is coming, bringing pieces of the adventures in, and as well as totally unrelated, more personal to the character content.
Absolutely, yeah. When it comes to the Oathbreaker stuff, it is very much trying to bring that fantasy to a organic, immersive, here and now kind of viewing experience, which I feel is really, really fun. Especially go to run fairs and do that kind of same approach. It really goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
But outside of it, the other stuff I'll do, where it's just bits and skits, it's fun. I've always loved comedy. I've always watched stand-ups and things like that as a kid. Probably way too young. Started watching stand-ups way too young. But
that speaks to a quality parenting, I think. We're like, you know what? Our kids should watch things that are funny and learn and grow. Well, I think you learn a lot about language too, and how you use it. This is something kind of George Carlin used to talk about a lot more than more recent comics, but the not only kind of the act of oratory, but the specific word choices they're making can teach you a lot about, I think, about what people find funny and what you might want to create yourself as well.
Totally. Yeah. Delivery, cadence, timing is just understanding the rhythm. Reading rooms is something I think a lot of people need to learn how to do. It's super, really important skills that you can kind of gauge from those kind of performances.
Totally.
So yeah, I love stand-up.
Yeah. I mean, I think reading the room is a really interesting one to call out also, as someone who, or as two people, where a lot of our creative space is online, where you don't have much of a room to read.
Right.
Is there something to that, leaning into that direction, into a similar skill that you think of when you are creating?
Totally. I think that's a great point. I feel if we're in session, especially across online, where you're wanting to do a check-in with somebody, and it might be a little bit more difficult. I guess there is a benefit that you can, maybe send a Discord message or something or other, and just be like, hey, let me just check in real quick, or, hand signs to the camera and things like that, which can definitely be helpful. But I think one of the things that can be kind of difficult is the cadence, the timing, not quite knowing when someone is going to continue with a monologue or a couple sentences, and making sure you don't give them space to have that spotlight before cutting them off. I think that's something I still struggle with. I'm just making sure I don't step on toes. I just want to make sure everybody gets that shine. It's fun. It's we're here for collaborative storytelling.
Absolutely.
I want to see everybody shine. So
absolutely,
it can be difficult online, but I think as I've done more actual plays, it's gotten a little bit. Gotten a little bit better at it.
Yeah. Well, I think there's still, even as you're looking through a screen, there's small physical cues or vocal cues about it, versus if you're all sitting at a table, you can actually read the room in that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you favorite and least favorite part about making so much D&D content for online consumption? And I think more specifically your TikTok channel versus kind of actual play, because I definitely want to talk about that, but I want to slightly focus for a moment.
Totally. Yeah, I'll start with the favorite is
Yeah.
I've gotten to meet a bunch of really cool people and got to sit at some awesome tables and roll dice with some fun folk. It's been great for the creative in me and just seeing how other people do things and learning from other people and like how to
Yeah.
be better in actual plays and how to be a better actual play performer. Least favorite. I should probably put a cap on how much I'm on the internet. Is probably
Sure.
probably the least favorite thing. I think there's only so much that I should be privy to or taking into my brain, and social media can be a vexing place. I've had plenty of video. I put out something, and you've gotten the I've called it like the bean soup dilemma, where it's like. Or very common with like not, I don't like waffles, and they're just saying, and someone would come in and say like, oh, so what do you think about pancakes? And it's just like I was talking about waffles. I wasn't talking
like,
about
that's really
pancakes.
not the point here, but okay,
Right.
sure. Yeah.
So I definitely come across that from time to time, which it is what it is. But there are definitely pros and cons of engaging with folks on the internet and just kind of making sure you do what you can to protect your peace as best as possible.
Yeah, sure. How has your experience been within kind of the D&D talk community specifically, like the people that are gathering on this social platform for nerd content and D&D and like more cool stuff?
Totally. Yeah, I would say it really came to a point to me when I went to PAX Unplugged last year. So at that point, maybe I was like a year into this sort of like content creation journey and meeting a lot of people I was mutuals with online, but never met in person, and like seeing them and reading the room, engaging energy and hanging out and just chatting about life and getting to know folks. It was really, really cool. It was really cool. It's like the best way I could describe it. So I think that community, especially among Black creators in this space, because there's not a lot of us. There's a common theme of, like a lack of diversity at certain tables within this space where it comes to actual plays or it's bigger productions or smaller productions. So it is nice to see that there are folks that are working really hard with their own projects and getting into bigger spaces and creating things. And it's just really, really encouraging.
Yeah, totally.
I feel like I have more thoughts that I'm still trying to formulate around that. There's kind of like a full circle effect to that that I can't quite articulate.
I'm curious a little bit. So we just spoke with Brandon, Total Madness, on TikTok and other places. And one of the things that he had been saying is that TikTok specifically feels like a better home for Black creators and for non-white creators to have a space where they are platformed and are visible. Without going into a whole politics and race discussion, like, just has your experience been similar to that like compared to some other platforms maybe, or what you have seen or what you have heard, is TikTok providing a better home for creators?
Yeah, I think perhaps. I think
fair.
I think generally just with how the internet operates, like I'll say, especially in like the early stages of when I was creating stuff, I had to do a lot of calling and monetization on comments for some time. I get some unsavory comments, when I get up dressed up in the Oathbreaker fit.
Sure.
And we had to curate our following base. We could say. So there's a lot to navigate, but I think over time, for sure, the right people find you, right? If you're consistent and keep doing whatever it is that you're doing, you'll end up in front of the people that will not necessarily align with you from like a total ideological standpoint, but like people that like get it effectively.
Want to see what you're doing, want to consume the content that you are creating.
Exactly.
And not just be like, who the fuck are you, man? Like, get out of my space, or whatever weird grognard bullshit.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. What? I feel like this is maybe a slight tangent to what we were just talking about, but like, what about the creative aspects that you're pursuing is most meaningful in a way? Like, there's obviously it has been successful to a pretty large degree, gotten you access and things that are exciting and fun and like new projects. But what to you has been kind of the most meaningful part about it?
Totally. It's kind of full circle. I was talking to a friend about this actually earlier. about life in general. We were very we're existential positive. It wasn't necessarily a negative thing, but we were talking about the
That
idea
is the
of,
first time I've heard someone say I had a positive existential discussion in like months. So good on you.
Yeah, we're doing our best. But we're having a conversation on just like life and your journey, and more importantly, the people and community that you keep in that journey, and like what kind of story are you telling in your life? What are your values, and what do you hold dear, and who do you hold dear? And I think that plays hand in hand to tabletop RPGs, especially like story-driven things of just like what kind of tables do you want to sit at? What kind of stories do you want to tell? What kind of folks do you want to be around? I think that's been the most enriching thing. I think fortunately, we've heard horror stories that people have had of being at certain tables, and my DM was like this player was like this person. Yeah. We've all heard it. They all suck. And it's unfortunate, to say the least. I've been fortunate that, most tables I've been at have been excellent. I've been around really creative folks, really kind folks, folks that, kind of align within our, values and whatnot. And it's been awesome. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
I can't, it's hard. It's interesting to go from this kind of like primarily online digital experience and still have this very real, almost like tangible community that's been like grown and developed. It feels very surreal.
Yeah.
Even outside of actual plays, like recently I went to the Washington Renaissance Fair. And that was the first time I've ever been in Washington State. And Azim, Rondez, and myself were walking around in our get-ups, and people recognized us. And that was wild. I was awesome. I was kind of blown back. I was like, that's so wild. Like, of course, the people that would know us would be at the Renaissance Fair as well. Sure. But even still, I'm across the country, never been here before. First time at this fair, and people are saying, oh my God, we love your stuff. And I'm just like, whoa, like, that's awesome. So that's great. It's been a cool experience.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that I'm probably going to keep saying this forever, but like it has become clear to me in my few years, being in the space and running more games, doing these things, that like the full spectrum of players and DMs exist, right? And we are going to kind of self-select the community that we want around us. And it's going to, hopefully, you're going to last long enough, weed out those shitty games and shitty DMs, and like be at a table and be surrounded by people that are values aligned, that want to be playing the same kind of game that you are, and not, like I keep going like, all right, someone wants to run AD&D and track every fucking crossbow bolt that you have, and like make sure you have rations. And I'm like, that's not really what I want to do, but I accept there's a lot of people that love that level of crunch.
Totally.
And so they go do that. And if they want to also be playing weird AD&D, super speciesist, all orcs are automatically evil, kill them, fine, I don't want to. And so I have, found my way to the people that similarly are like, yeah, that was a weird artifact of the 70s, and we don't want to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's, I have very much like, so I've modded the heck out of Skyrim on my PC.
Sure.
I'm very immersion heavy. So like mods that are like, eating cycle, or you get animations when you eat different foods and it shows the different foods. That's my bread and butter. I love that stuff. I eat that up. But I can understand if someone's like, I want to make Lydia look like an anime character. I wouldn't, but do your thing.
Sure.
Live your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally, I hear
that. I love that there is an eating mod. Of course there's an eating mod for Skyrim. Like that tickles me so much in such a good way that people, I think that, similarly to D&D and other tabletops, that people will make the crunchiest little homebrew thing to get closer to a simulation of real world, whatever that might actually mean.
Totally.
Yeah. So you have gotten to do several really amazing actual plays. What appeals to you about that? And kind of, I think what I've talked about with a number of people is the difference between the more performative element of actual plays, when you're still playing the game, you're still rolling the dice, but you kind of have to have this piece of brain going, people are going to watch or listen to this, versus a home game and you're like, oh, it doesn't fucking matter, I'm just here making my friends laugh, or as it might be.
Totally. Yeah. I do like the performance side of it. I think, again, the storytelling part and like what tables I get to be a part of is what really pulls it. Cause for most of the actual plays I've been able to be a part of, it's, someone reached out to me and was like, hey, would you be interested in
That's
doing
the
this
dream.
thing? Yeah. And I'm just like, okay, who's all going to be there? What's the vibe? Like, what's the situation? And, yeah, more often than not, I'm like, let's do it. Like, that sounds like a plan. So I think I'm lucky in that aspect that, you know, people reach out
Hmm.
to me and add me to the roster. Um,
Yeah.
that's been cool. But yeah, to tell those stories with folks, to explore different stories, to kind of like challenge myself as well with trying to create a more wider range of characters
Mm.
to
Hmm.
kind of like act out, kind of step out of my own personal boxes.
Yeah.
Has been a cool journey as well.
Yeah. Well, that leads perfectly into the next thing I wanted to ask you about. Was like, what kind of characters do you like creating for an actual play, and what is kind of the process for that look like for you versus creating something for home game that's not going to be seen or heard by other people?
Totally. I think most characters that I create can be described as volcanoes. Um,
Do we
they're
have the full
dormant.
range from like dormant to actively
Yeah,
exploding?
exactly,
Awesome.
exactly. Yeah. So there's definitely those that are very steady, kind of stoic, reserved, stable, and then chaos. Whether
Hmm.
it's an absurd display of violence, whether it is cool, calculated, strategic, murder,
Yeah.
orchestrating catastrophe, whatever the case may be. I think I tend to create characters who just have a build up, a
Uh-huh.
build up
Uh-huh.
to something kind of big, which I find very fun.
Yeah.
It's a nice array to. I don't know how to describe it. I just love that. I love playing like a uh, one of those kind of like cinnamon rolls that is like secretly
Hmm.
a monster,
Hmm.
or not so secretly a monster. Those are super
Yeah.
fun as well.
Yeah. Gooey on the outside and like hardcore of like walnuts and
Hmm.
spice. Yeah.
Right. Just an absolute
Yeah.
chaos demon on the
Yeah,
inside. That's
totally.
super fun.
Yeah. Does that like when you're making a character for a home game, are the characters in the process very similar, or do you really kind of look more at maybe, I don't know, table content and like and or party makeup in one versus the other?
Yeah, I'd say for actual plays, I'll definitely want to get an idea of table makeup, get a gauge of where other people's stories are. Depending on, recommendations from the DM, like folks to reach out
Sure.
to and do some collaborating, a little scheming. Always love scheming, love plotting with the
Yep.
fellow table mates. Um,
Absolutely.
for the home games, there's still that element of like collaborating, seeing what we have at the table. I think the one home game that I'm in, I've known these people for like 10 years. So I just kind of have like
Hmm.
a Rolodex of information. I'm like, I
Yeah.
know blah, blah, blah likes to play like this. I know blah, blah, blah likes to play like this. Okay. I have an idea of what I can put together here.
Yeah.
So it just
Yeah.
kind of,
Sure.
it works in, but, yeah, I think my characters in my homebrews are more chill. They're not
Mm.
okay, but they're still like
It's
more regulated.
I love that the anti trope for characters is the like, no, my character just had a normal happy childhood and two or more stable parents, and like they're
Right.
just fine, they just wanted to be an adventurer, and everyone's just like, I'm sorry, what, you don't have like horrible trauma and like all sorts of family disasters and things? You're like, no,
Right.
I just wanted to make an actual like relatively well adjusted person who's probably not going to be well adjusted at the end of this campaign.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
love doing that. I love for my actual plays too. Like
Yeah.
I have a tendency. Well, for some of them, I will have my parents be alive for the most part. I think there's been one character that I've done in a home game where he was like an orphan. It's like
Mhm.
that rogue orphan archetype.
Yeah.
But everyone else, I'll put in a pet character background. It's like, yeah, happy family, two parents,
Yeah.
still there hanging out. And my DM's like, are you sure? Because I will use this. And I'm like, go ahead. Like that's totally fine.
Like, yeah,
Um,
yeah. They're either going to be a really nice little happy break along the way, or you're going to do something terrible to them, and then we have some growth. Yeah,
right.
and
Exactly.
trauma as it might be. Yeah. Um, so kind of in the behind the scenes of recording and streaming actual plays, okay. part one of the question. Do you have prep that you like doing in the like, okay, I've know, today I've got a 4-hour block that I'm going to be sitting down, I'm going to be recording this thing or streaming this. Are there preparations that you like to do for yourself?
Yeah. I guess you could, yeah, I would say preparation. I was kind of hung up on the word
or like or ritual.
I was
I absolutely will.
yeah.
Like I super every time before I perform, which is for me is mostly live. I'm just like, nope. There's these 3 specific things that I'm gonna go off in a corner and do, and not let anyone else in the cast bother me while I do them, and then I'm ready.
Totally. I hear that 100%. Yeah, there's definitely some like rituals. I wouldn't say they're super formulaic. I think it might depend on the mood a little bit, but so I'll have some characters like playlists on Spotify where I might take a listen to that. And I'll update the songs too, depending on how things have been going throughout the adventure. I like to visualize everyone. I'll use Hero Forge, or I'll use Baldur's Gate 3, which has been a big one for me. It's like I'll make a save in Baldur's Gate 3 for whatever that character is, and just kind of like play that out to kind of like practice, like, okay, how would they react to this scenario, like in relation to how I've written out like their personality and their quirks and their values, like, well, how would they jive with this person, how would they jive with that person? So kind of getting a practice rep effectively of like, the role-playing side of things. But yeah, the music I think is like one of the key things. I'll listen to something before I get into session, maybe like an hour before, and then just kind of lock in. But that's
really
that's
like
my ritual so far.
Get in the mind of the character. Totally. Do you have a favorite and least favorite part of like, not the specific ones, but like just the general process, I think, of recording or streaming actual plays?
Least favorite, and it's oftentimes out of our control, is tech issues. It happens. It is what it is. I've been guilty of it on my own stream, so I totally get it. Shit happens. Favorite. I do love those post-session debriefs where everyone's just kind of like, oh man, hands on head, like, what did we just do? What did we just experience? Oh God, I can't wait till next week, because now we have to deal with that. Like, we have to deal with what we just did. I love having those moments with those party members. But yeah, tech issues probably. I'm also a very time anxious person. So if something is at like 7 and we're not all set by 7, I'm just like rocking back and forth in the chair, like, oh man,
totally.
We gotta go live.
I'm here. I'm ready to go. You wound up my key, and now I'm just held in that position waiting. Totally. Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. One of the things that I have noticed is the way that I kind of call this the varying levels of professionalism in a way, in the sense that if I am doing this, I think of it as a job, whether or not I'm getting paid. That means doing that hour of prep, being on time, like doing all of my things. And I have met people and played with people that really, although they are trying to stream or record or do this, like make something that will be put out into the world, they don't think anything about being late. They're not necessarily prepared. And they're kind of like, it's fine. We're just going to do it. There's no money, whatever.
Right.
And so I similarly am like, no, I take this seriously. I try to be as professional as I can. And if I'm here and ready and no one else is, I start vibrating a little bit, and I'm like, okay, all right, here we go.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I totally hear that. How I would, the podcast world, like the background ins and outs are very unknown to me. So like how is that journey as you guys have been going along?
It's so our campaign's been on a break for a little while. When we were doing it, I would say for me, I tried to kind of keep that same practice. It was like, okay, we know, calendar event was like for everyone to show up by 6 o'clock. We're going to record until 9 o'clock. We're going to be done. It was never exactly that time, but 5 o'clock, I'd start being like, let me get our table ready. Let me get all the mics unpacked. And especially once I had all the tech gear that we needed and I knew how to kind of mostly do it, I would just try to get everything that I could done. So when my players and our audio producer arrived at 6 or close to it, as much as possible, they could sit down and just take their minute to center themselves and be ready.
Right.
And then we'd record. We'd usually stop for like a dinner or bio break in the middle. And then around 9 o'clock when we finish, there's a slow kind of packing up and a bit of debriefing. Having said that, I'm producing for Unbalanced Encounters now, and their process is very different because everyone is virtual.
Gotcha.
There's some similar, like, again, as a producer, I'm like, my job is to warn everyone at an hour, at 30 minutes, and then make sure everyone's there and ready. So I feel like it's not dissimilar to either recording or streaming an actual play. I think that there's a lot of similar thing that's go on. For my own campaign, it was like, well, we're never going to actually video record this. So it doesn't matter if I'm wearing sweatpants and like I just had rehearsal and I'm a sweaty hot mess and like it doesn't matter.
Right.
But in other ways, especially around like timing and trying to, I was always aware that I was asking a lot of people to give me their time when I can't necessarily pay them, and I can only pay them if we do really well. So I was just like, let me be as prepared as possible. I made dinner for people most of the time. It's like, at least if you're coming here, give me that time. Let me cook food so you can eat.
I hear that.
So yeah, it's a lot. I think the biggest thing that I would say is kind of the difference is managing your recording space. Right. When everyone's virtual and you each have your own individual thing, it's a lot easier to control that space and make it sound nice and like eliminate some background echo. And when we're all just like sitting around a table, that's harder to do.
Yeah. That makes total sense.
Yeah. But still a blast, still super fun. and yeah, I really like leaning into the performative aspect of role-playing games. I think it's a lot of fun, but I'm a performer in the other spheres of my life, so that's always been something that I wanted,
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for that context too.
Absolutely.
Nice to peek behind a curtain.
Yeah, right. And like I think for me one of the other things that I talk a lot about now is how easy the lift is, because we have software and hardware to just let anyone who wants to make a podcast. Right.
Yeah. It's super accessible now, right? Yeah. It's so many.
It's accessible. And that's the thing. That's the side
it's like
effect of it.
Become a meme.
Right.
So many. Yeah.
And how do you cut through some of the noise to get people other than your 15, 20 friends who want to listen to your D&D show, like, to listen to it?
Yeah.
And I don't have the answer for that at all. I think there's something about production value. I think if you either start from a place where you're well known, like Worlds Beyond Number, right? When they started, we all know who Brennan and Abria and Lou and Erica, right? We're not all, but many of us. They already had a following, so they start and then it's gonna succeed on some level. On the other hand, I think if whoever is show running or the whole cast and crew is willing to put the money and time in for high quality recording, a sound score, like good. Good performers is kind of a key, or at least really funny people. If you're not a good performer, if you're really fucking funny, you get a lot of leeway. I think some of those things, and then still getting the right viral clip on social media, something to get your actual play in front of more people, is still such a fucking crapshoot.
Yeah. There's so many variables that play into it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Interesting to navigate.
Yeah. Anywho, on the actual plays that you've been part of, do you kind of come into it or approach it with personal or artistic goals, or is the showrunner, the DM, kind of approaching you and saying, these are the goals that I have, and I think you would help us get them?
Yeah, I think fortunately, not to say I'd be unfortunate if it was otherwise, but the DMs that have come to me when people have pitched shows have given me free reign to just come to the table with whatever. For the most part, they're people that are familiar with like what I do online. They're just like, I'm gonna just let you cook and we can workshop, but I'm gonna just let you do your thing. which I really appreciate. That feels very validating as a player. But I'm always open to tweaking things to whatever as the DM may have in mind. So there's better tie-ins that we could use. Happy to use them. There's some narrative pulls or intrigue you want to weave in. More than happy to collaborate. So fortunately, yeah, I would say as far as like what I might bring into the characters, I think maybe a trait of mine or a quirk of mine is stubbornness. That seems to be a character trait that a lot of my characters have to some extent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think as far as interpersonal conflict, I think they kind of just not rear their ugly heads. I think they, depending on the story, can just appear organically. There are definitely moments where I'm just like, oh, I've felt that before, whether it's my character or somebody else's character. But I can't say I'm intentionally trying to like hit a point home necessarily. Sure. But I do want to like hold those moments true and just kind of like feel them, but make sure that we like do them justice, whatever they may be. I think it can be really gratifying to be seen in media. So whether, someone is experiencing something and, in their downtime, they're watching a show and they see an actual play and they see folks talking about whatever it is that they're going through, and it makes them feel validated and embodied and fulfilled as a person. I think it can be really, really helpful for folks. So, I think in the end all be all, if I can help somebody, whether it's being seen or just having a laugh or escaping for a moment, I think that's the best thing I can do, and I'm happy to do.
Yeah, totally. I think that also speaks to, for me, the importance of having, like, it's almost a cop-out to say having diversity at your table, but making sure that your table can offer a lot of different viewpoints in the story that you're telling, both from the character's point of view and from the player behind its point of view. So you're not telling the same story over and over again, and you are trying to create something that the widest range of people will be able to say, oh, I've experienced that, I felt that, I'm here with this character now.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're a great vehicle for it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think, I don't know. I think I have done, and many people probably share this, but like done some good self-therapizing through role play and like creating a specific character to experience a specific thing. And I'm like, oh, I didn't see that at the time, but okay. Now I see where I was going with that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. Well, to redirect us a little bit and towards Paladins in general. But I want to start by saying, like, one of the biggest things that you've created specifically is an Oathbreaker Paladin, which I'm going to say the short version of this is people seem to have a lot of opinions about that subclass and its interaction with the story that you might be telling in a game. So what is it about the Oathbreaker, or I guess like the archetype or the subclass itself, that is most interesting to you?
I love, not to say the Oathbreaker is like a oxymoron necessarily, but the inherent conflict in that subclass, the fact that it is born out of breaking the thing you swore to, the thing that gave you power to begin with, the idea that it is born out of that, to me, is very cool, in like in an edgy way, but also the idea of just like, not necessarily being purposeless, but I think I really liked in Baldur's Gate 3 the dialogue options that come from the Oathbreaker, where it's like, I don't have to justify my existence, I just am. And I like that, as especially for that Oathbreaker character that I put together. He's a chaotic entity. He is just like, I do what I want because I want to. And I think that's fun to play with. Yeah. I would recommend every player try something like that. I think it takes some analyzing and some tightrope walking and some careful attention. But I think it's a fun dynamic to play with. And I think the best. Yeah, I think that's the best way to describe it. I just love that kind of vibe of just. I don't love the inherent evil part of it. I kind of get it from like a D&D 2020 2014 perspective, kind of, but it's like you don't have to be. You could kind of do whatever.
I mean, I think, I have been confronted with this with my own bias against kind of warlocks and blood hunters, where like in what is written about it, it's kind of presented as such an edgelord, like dark, leaning towards evil character, and you don't necessarily have to play that, although it's the way it is written in some ways. Yeah. I think, I don't know. Pose the question, right? Because I pulled it up, I'm looking at it. Like the 2014 rules specifically say an Oathbreaker is a paladin who breaks his or her sacred oaths to pursue some dark ambition or serve an evil power. To me, that feels incredibly limiting, and that's not the only reasons, right?
Exactly. Like you could be a paladin of Shar. So it's like, if you broke your oath to Shar, are you still like what happens? Like it's an interesting thing. I think there's a lot more that can be done with that if they just broaden the horizons, like you said, on that.
Or really just like throw out the specific language that they have written, right?
Right.
You broke your oath for whatever reason. Like, you could be a redemption paladin, and you're just like, this evil fuck who was enslaving a town for profit really is beyond redemption. I'm just gonna kill him. And then you're like, well, shit, I guess I broke an oath. But like, that guy had no redeeming qualities, like zero. You know? Yeah, totally. Are there things about are there things about the Oathbreaker that you have created and used for your content that have like themes or characterizations that you are excited about exploring in that character? So if that made sense. I'm not sure that string of words actually was a sentence.
No, all good. So I guess to help clarify on my end, like ideas of values or sort of like internal conflicts or anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay. I think he's the only character. No, that's a lie. He's the only character. No, I'm lying again. He's a character who I think is a fun vessel for me to just play a chaos demon effectively.
Sure.
I don't do it often. I think it's a fun practice to kind of try and look at things from a bigger picture. I do try to see the gray where it is applicable. And I think that character is a great vessel. Like for a one shot that we've been doing recently, I was explaining to the DM like some of the drivers to why he may do what he wants to do, and he might depose a tyrant not because it will benefit the people that are being oppressed, but more so because the tyrant said he has an ugly cape. So it's just like it is. Yeah, he did a thing that was helpful to people, sure, but he was not
helping the people is not the goal.
Exactly.
Like
It is. He may stumble upon something that may be good or evil, but it is more so that he was doing something that was more self-serving, and that can shake out however it may shake out. I think that is a fun concept to play with. I'm a fan of the anti-hero. I'm a fan of a character whose aims are not quite clear. I think that is interesting to me. Whether it is someone who just kind of pops in for a scene and just messes with the party and then says, all right, bye y'all. I always kind of gravitated to those.
Have a deck of many things. Bye.
Exactly. I think of like Magic Man at Adventure Time. I think it's interesting, especially the earlier iterations of him. He just kind of shows up, is an asshole, and then dips. It's just kind of, it's a fun character. So yeah, I think if anything, he is something similar to that.
Hmm.
Is he wholly evil? Not necessarily. He's not a good guy. He just
I
is.
mean, I would argue just it, yeah, is right.
Mhm.
You're not necessarily evil for killing that tyrant because he insulted you.
Right.
You know, it still ended up well for everyone that he was tyranting over.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Um, so, so how? I want to take a couple minutes to like look at paladins as they have changed.
Mhm.
As someone who loves paladins, and I have a great fondness for vengeance paladins myself. So let me start the question. How much have you looked at the new rule set to see what is different and or just out of interest or not?
Yeah, I actually have the book right next to me.
Ah,
I
great.
I have yet to play a 2024 Paladin,
Uh-huh.
but from what I've read through, and I've given the book a thorough read at this time, I definitely
Hmm.
also lean very much towards the Vengeance Paladins. I do love an Oath of Ancients too. I find them very
Yeah.
fun. I love
Yeah,
that kind of
totally.
like a smite druid, effectively. I think
Yeah.
that's a very fun
Yeah.
concept to play with. But I think overall, I think if we were to take in all the changes that have happened to Paladins in 2024, I think they're okay. I think they're
Okay.
fine. I think
Okay.
maybe DMs may feel like they have to worry about the supernova a little less.
Uh-huh.
Now that we have smites tied to spell slots and that's a bonus action, I can see how, that's a nerf, sure, for the paladin player, but for the
Sure.
DM, that's probably like okay, I can like breathe a little bit. Like I don't have to worry as much.
I mean, yes, and I think that is kind of the single biggest change to the
Mhm.
to the base classes. I'm kind of like looking through it myself, and that does seem to be the biggest change. I I'm going to say I have feelings about it that it is too much of a nerf,
Mm,
right? As opposed to clarifying something like, oh, Smite is mechanically the same as 2014, i.e., doesn't take any action economy. You can just do it when you land a hit, but
right.
specifying you can only do it once per round or once per turn.
Right.
Like, so I don't know. Like, do you have similar or strong feelings about what they have done specifically to the smites?
I think I don't have the strongest feelings. I think at first I was like, "Dang, you could counterspell the smite," but it's also like, uh, how often is someone going to counterspell a smite? I was like kind of racking my brain. I was like, if we're in a fight
Yeah.
and we have, a paladin, a warlock, a wizard, or whoever, and whomsoever is at the unfortunate end of the sword
Right.
or whatever the weapon is, and they're about to get smitten or smote, whatever the the proper
Past
term
tense
would
is
be.
meaningless. Yeah.
Yeah, which whoever's catching the smite, is it more economical? I guess maybe this is metagame brainy, but is it
Yeah.
more economical to counterspell a smite versus a magic missile might
Sure.
be on the way or something
Sure.
else? That was the first thing that stood out to me. Then I was like, you know what, probably would be fine. I think there are better uses for counterspell. I think of the tweaks that they did to weapons and like weapon
Hmm.
properties, and I wonder if that was part of what they're factoring into these like wider changes to
Sure.
some like martial classes that are very weapon reliant. I mean, as a flavor thing, I love that you can smite with unarmed strikes. That's cool.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think I'm
That's
gonna make a character that might use it, but I think to have the option
I
is
mean, now
awesome.
like the monk paladin multi-class actually kind of
Right.
becomes viable that and you don't have to specifically be a Kensei monk for it to like do anything.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I was trying to imagine a similar situation from it when you would counterspell, and I'm like, okay, I as a DM, if I have set up, if it's not the BBEG, it's like someone, it is a mid-tier bad guy who's gonna have a minion or three, right?
Right.
And so if my bad guy is, I don't know, just take a classical example. Manshun, bad guy is an evil wizard who runs the Black Network, and he's
Mhm.
going to have a flesh golem. He's going to have a big, horrifying, heavy tank hitter who's going to wade into the party and start beating him down while he hides in the background. I could see the intelligent bad guy of that kind of nature going like, shit, I really need my tank to last one more round, and I see
Right.
that the party's paladin is about to smite. I could see a counterspell.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't disagree at all that I think there's probably better uses for it, but I could see the potential.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, all good. Yeah, but yeah, I'd say widely, I wasn't super duper concerned. Maybe my opinions will change when I actually like play and I'm like in it with a 2024 Paladin. I might come back and be like, actually, yeah, nah, forget everything I said. That was bullshit. I can't. I'm upset. I'm mad. I hate it. But no. As of now, I feel okay. I feel okay.
Okay. All right.
Hello, rollers! It is I, your host, debatably friendly DM, and other things, Colin, here to welcome you to the mid-roll. Thank you for listening, and we hope you are enjoying this episode so far. This is your periodic interruption, brief as it may be, to remind you that The Roll Report is on many social media platforms. You can find us around the interwebs at The Roll Report Cast, on Instagram, on TikTok, and on Blue Sky. We don't do the other thing. We don't talk about the artist formerly known as Twitter. But you can follow us there for news and announcements, special clips from the interviews you may not have seen, and learn about who we're going to interview next. Because if you are very intrigued and curious about upcoming interview guests, if you head on over to patreon.com/The Roll Report and give us a single $1, you can submit questions for our interviews, and only you and only our other supporters on Patreon will hear the answers. That's right, special Patreon-only Q&As with interview guests if you support us there and if you send us questions. Thank you so much for listening. Back to the show. Enjoy!
I think that's a really good point about weapon mastery. Like that really changes the game for paladins. I mean, in other martial classes as well, by giving you more options based on those attacks. I think I feel like I'm still like a little annoyed, but it maybe is the like, I just want to roll all the dice and do 50 damage as a first level paladin with a smite on an undead thing, you know?
Totally fair.
Yeah.
Totally fair.
Right? Sure.
It feels great to roll all those dice and just eviscerate
Yeah.
something. It is a good feeling.
Totally. I think one of the other like big things that I'm noticing is the fact that now Find Steed is not a necessarily prepared spell. You just in the 2024 rules at 5th level, you always have Find Steed prepared and can cast it once a day without a spell slot. Unlike 2014, where that is no, you have to prepare the spell, you're going to spend a spell slot on it, and if the thing is gone, you're going to have to either spend another spell slot or not.
Yeah. That feels 2014 feels like especially if you're in a travel heavy campaign, it probably would feel like punishment if you're the paladin, where it's like, well, there's my level 3 just to get my horse out. Like, it's fine,
totally.
whatever. But yeah, it does feel like a kindness for 2024.
It feels like they're like, well, we're taking away your smites, but at least you're going to get the thing, which does make me want to ask maybe it's how you feel about or how you engage with mounted combat as a paladin or not. Like, do you use the magical steed and try to do weird things with it, or is it just kind of like, well, that's nice for traveling, but it's not going to functionally affect my combat abilities?
Yeah, I never use it in combat. I never use it in combat. Even in 2014, I wouldn't even bother preparing it. I think I also am. I have a propensity to multi-class from time to time, so I might be using other means. But yeah, Find Steed has never been. It's never been a high on my list of spells to make sure that I'm using.
Sure. Yeah. No, it is functional as your DM allows it to be, I think.
Right. Yeah.
My favorite Vengeance Paladin was allowed to have a polar bear as the mount. And I was like, cool. Actually useful in combat. Also, DM, just saying it's a celestial thing. Maybe it should all just count as magical damage. I'm just saying, like, it's not actually claws, it's a celestial. So,
Right.
talked my way into that a little bit. Yeah. I think, okay, no, I was going to say I felt like the cleansing touch, the 14th level feature of using your lay on hands to remove a condition, has been renamed to restoring touch, but it's the same. Otherwise, it's the same. Auras are now... I do kind of appreciate that there is now this specified thing called an emanation to really clarify the language about what your aura is and how far it extends. Because I also feel like that's something I've had to keep track of in combat all the times. Like, how close am I? How far is the range from me to this person?
Right.
Can they take advantage of my auras?
Right.
Yeah. What? Now I'm going to say this because I don't know. What are the bonus auras for Oathbreakers?
So you have Aura of Hate, which is the classic one. I'll also pull this up to make sure that I do not misremember. I think there's at least two. They're all, nefarious in nature.
Totally. Most of these subclasses get at least one extra or different aura, as opposed to the standard. What is it? Standard is courage. Yeah,
trying to pull up in real time. The Google search results for it have like changed so much. It's unfortunate.
Okay. It looks like Aura of Hate is the Paladin, as well as any fiends or undead within 10 feet, gain a bonus to melee weapon damage rolls equal to the Paladin's charisma modifier.
Yep.
Okay.
I think that's the only aura, actually. Yeah.
Well, okay, so this is one thing where I'm going to say it leans so hard into this like perceived evil of breaking an oath. Like, has that had ramifications for you in game? You're like, oh shit, we're fighting fiends and undead, and I am accidentally and unintentionally giving them a damage bonus.
I'll say for the Oathbreaker character, it kind of lends to his background that he's a multi-class, so that he's a warlock and a Pact of the Fiend at that. So
wow, cool.
Yeah. So it's for those that know him, it wouldn't be a surprise. It is maybe a minor inconvenience. Sure. But I will say, like, folks like Azim, whose character is a necromancer, is not necessarily complaining too much since he's got his undead buddies. So he may, peer over and say, "Oh, this edgelord, there he goes again." But his raised undead are having a damage bonus. I'll say from like a role play perspective, especially within like the group of the Rune Docs, there is like an understanding that each of us are flawed in our ways, but we get things done, and I think that is the bonding factor. For us. So far.
It's interesting to me that like that it makes me want to ask who the other party members are if we have like a Fiendlock Oathbreaker Paladin who buffs undead, and you got a necromancer who's bringing those undead up at the same time. Who else is in that party? to just kind of be like, yeah, this is fine. There's just undead around me all the time. It's fine.
Right. And so Archmage Azim on socials, the character that he'll do is a necromancy wizard. Kind of also like a scoundrel in his own right, a goofy wizard who gets up to shenanigans of his own, gallivanting across the plains and coveting power where he finds it. He and I'll say the Oathbreaker's dynamic is very much like a friendship. There's banter, there's jibing, there's pranks that they may enact across each other, but they are, I'll say, aligned in that they do what they want, and that's just what it is. I'll say Rhonda's his character, the Green Mage, Rhonda's Green Mage on socials as well, is the the strongest moral compass of the three, I'll say. He's community oriented. He's a follower of Elistray. He is kind-hearted and wants to uplift the people from whatever the bonds of oppression they may be experiencing, but is tethered to these two knuckleheads.
You got these two extremely chaotic and self-serving other people to tag along. Wow.
Right. So there's an element of like Ron does his characters kind of be like, why are y'all like this? But he understands, because like for him to do his aims to help support people, he's gonna need many an ally, and especially ones that might be you know open to doing some more nefarious things to make things happen.
I mean, I think this is an interesting story element to many stories, both within actual plays, within D&D, and in fantasy, right? The best intention, the most moral people frequently cannot bring themselves to do the thing that would in fact solve the problem because of moral rigidity or something else. And you really need the guy who's going to be like, you know what? Just give me 5 minutes in a room and a dark alley and we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Don't even think about it. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, the trio, they work well. We can't say, you know, the realm as a whole is safer for them being together, but they work well when they're amongst each other.
Yeah, totally. I am interested, as kind of like wrapping the Paladin a little bit, like two-part question. Part one, have you gotten to take a character and or specifically a Paladin to level 20? Part two, I'm a big fan of this like level 19 epic boon across the board for all classes, and I'm curious if you have thoughts about it.
I also big fan of the epic boons. Excuse me. I think they're a nice touch. I think they're a nice addition. They're definitely better. There's some that are better than others, I think, for sure. But you know, it may depend on like what kind of character you're building. That might, you know, emphasize how good some things will be, of course. But yeah, as a whole, I think they're really fun. I have not actually been able to get a Paladin to level 20, or at least have a campaign that's run that long for that to happen. I'll say currently another campaign that I'm in, we're level 16, I think, right now. And that characters are, it's a fun time. Characters are multi-class though, so I think I only have like 5 levels of Paladin at that point. He's a Paladin sorcerer combination. He started out as a sorcerer warlock. Some things happened. He became a sorcerer.
As it does.
Yeah, so
cool.
That's been a fun one. That's a really fun character. But I haven't had the privilege to get one to level 20. One day. Yeah. And I think it'll be an Oath of Vengeance. It'll probably be an Oath of Vengeance Paladin that does it. But we shall see.
They're really fun. I think one of the things to me that I really appreciate, I appreciate and also have mixed feelings at the same time. The level 19 epic boons really, it seems designed to convince people away from multi-classing. But I do think that a lot of the capstone features have gotten better. I have complained endlessly about the 20th level bard feature from 2014, which is garbage. And now it actually is like something useful that I would like almost want to solo class bard all the way.
Right. Yeah. I do like those changes too. And I think some of the spell selections that classes have gotten now as well, I think are really cool. Especially for the bard, got some cool spells, new spells that they can get, especially at higher levels that are really, really flavorful, really fun. I think Druid got some cool spells personally. But I tend to play a lot of Circle of Land Druid, so it's I do like to lean on the spell side of things. But I think it's
totally.
Yeah, I love epic boons. Really, really like epic boons.
Awesome, great. Parting thoughts about Paladins. I agree. I would confess to being so bent out of shape about smites that I think it immediately like made me annoyed about all the rest of the changes, but I think you are right. I think net lateral move maybe because of the benefits and boosts to the other things.
Yeah, I think totally agreed on that. I think I had a thought on the Paladins. I'm trying to rack my brain what it is. Agreed. I think it's. I think they're okay. I think they're okay. I am still laying in wait. Please bring back Oathbreaker Paladins, Wizards.
Yeah.
Please, please
Right?
bring them back and
I
make them not inherently evil. Pretty please.
I'm just like, I'm a little, I remain a little upset about which subclasses and the order in which they're doing them. But of course, it's now become a money-making scheme, so they're going to do it as slow as possible.
Right.
Anyway, yeah. Actually, the other thing that I'm noticing that I think is really interesting is the 9th level feature that I'm also trying to make sure. Yeah, okay, so this is a new base feature, Abjure Foes. You expend as an action, you use a Channel Divinity, and you can target a number of creatures equal to your Charisma modifier within 60 feet, who then need to make a Wisdom save or be frightened for a minute until it takes damage. And when it's frightened, it can only move, action, or bonus action on its turn, nothing else. I think to me what this is this it's kind of that Vengeance Paladin, hold up your holy symbol and tell everyone to fuck off.
Right.
But I think they have kind of correctly realized, I think about by the time you're like level 9, right? Your character's relationship to commoners in a D&D world is so like you are walking in there glowing with holy light.
Right.
Of course, every paladin should be able to just hold up their thing and be like, all of you are now scared. Run.
It makes total sense.
Yeah.
It makes total sense.
Yeah. I do like adding that in. Well, Cary, I think it is time for our extremely important concluding questions of your favorite character class and subclass. I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say Oathbreaker Paladin might be among that list, but is it wider? What are
It is wider.
Your absolute favorite class and subclass?
Absolute favorite class. So I'll say top 3 classes for me.
Yeah.
Paladins, of course, in no particular order, but Paladins, Sorcerers, Druids, and
Ooh.
I said top 3. I lied again. 4.
Hey, it's as many as you want. I am not gonna hold anyone to a specific number of favorites because that's ridiculous.
Yeah, number 4 will be Warlocks. I love a spell sword. And I feel each of those, in some respect, you can kind of get creative and do some things. But sorcerers are like the one where I'll be totally fine being a full-blooded spellcaster. I love sorcerers. Love a draconic sorcerer. That's probably my favorite subclass within that. I want to try out it's Ancients. I think there might be something more to the name, but I think it's
the Paladin, Oath of Ancients, or a different one? No.
For the sorcerer, gosh, I cannot remember what it is. I think it is.
Wait. I'm gonna figure it out. I don't know how, but I'm gonna figure it out, and hopefully, if I just keep talking for like 15 more seconds, we'll get it. The new sorcerer subclass is Aberrant. No, that's the update to Aberrant Mind. Officially right now, there's Aberrant, Clockwork, Draconic, and Wild Magic, but I think more are coming out. Of course, there's a huge realm of third-party and homebrewed content. But now I'm curious. I want to try to find this.
Yeah, if I can find it again, I'll share it along. But it could still be an unearthed arcana. But there's an ancient sorcerer of some regard that I was really interested in. As far as druids go, I love the Circle of the Land. The changes that they did to Circle of the Moon for 2024, I think pretty solid. That turned out pretty well for druids there. Really strong subclass. Have yet to play it, but I'm really keen to kind of delve into that one. I love a Fiend Warlock. I think that's probably my favorite one, actually. Stuff like Dark One's Luck. I do like the changes they did in 2024 as well to kind of apply Eldritch Invocations to more cantrips as opposed to just Eldritch Blast. I would say maybe this is a hot take. I'm not sure. But if that were to be the effect, I think different cantrips should have multiple beams like you can do with Eldritch Blast.
Oh.
So if you were to be a Ray of Frost Warlock and you're using, you have your Agonizing Blast and Repelling Blast, but you only have one beam of Ray of Frost. I don't know. Maybe we got to extend that number a bit. And maybe I don't know if that would make that a Warlock exclusive thing or something right across for multiple spellcasters.
Yeah,
I don't have solutions. I just have ideas.
I don't know. but I love that. I think that's and I think that really that it sells kind of the versatility of Warlock in that way. It's like, I might be doing a cantrip all the time, but it's going to be a good one that's going to it's going to grow with me.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, looking at it. So damage absolutely does do its thing, and it's now just to any cantrip, things like Eldritch Spear and Agonizing Blast. But yeah, man, someone who's like more into math and statistics than I do I would assume, I'm going to make the guess and assume that it's something to do with like the damage dice, right?
Right.
So Ray of Frost is 2d8. I think, or like, and escalating as you go up, and Eldritch Blast is a D10 that goes up to 2 and then 3 and then 4 along the way. So, I mean, my immediate instinct is like, that makes total sense. Why can't Warlocks get multiple Frost Rays as they level up the same way that Eldritch Blast does? That fucking brilliant idea.
It might be a DM's nightmare to be able to like split a Ray of. Now I'm thinking about like splitting Ray of Frost across multiple enemies, and now they've been repelled and also slowed on movement. So there's like probably a lot more to manage there. But I would love to see that applied to more cantrips.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think that would be really, really cool. Amazing. Well, I'm like, I could just keep going for a long time, but I am somewhat bound by time and my own interests not necessarily being aligned with all of our listeners, and me just wanting to go like, yes, tell me more. So instead, I will say, Cary, thank you so much for joining us. Like, what a genuine pleasure to get to speak with you.
It's been a pleasure to be here. Thank y'all for reaching out and having me on.
Of course. For our listeners to know, this will also be in show notes, of course, but where can people find you if they would like to find you online?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can find me on at Oathbreaker Cary on TikTok, Instagram, Twitch. Some ongoing projects right now. We have some actual plays that I'm in. The Defenders of Phandelver actual play, which is on Forgotten Adventures on Twitch and also on YouTube, Sundays at 11 Eastern Standard Time. So folks want to see me play a druid, and we have an Oathbreaker Paladin on that campaign as well. Definitely come through and give that a watch. But the Rune Docs and myself, Azim that I mentioned, and Rhonda's as well, doing a regular stream on Sundays of our Baldur's Gate 3 run as our characters in character. Wow! So it's been a fun, chaotic adventure. So to see more of that chaotic dynamic play out, that's what we'll be up to on Sundays at 7. So,
Sundays, all D&D all the time.
Yep. That's how I get over the Monday scaries, I think, or Sunday scaries, whichever it is.
No, absolutely. So all of those notes will be around. Go check them out. And in the meantime, you can find The Roll Report on our social channels at The Roll Report Cast on Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram, and that's about it. If you like what we're doing and want to support the show, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/The Roll Report, where for as little as $1 a month, you can help us keep bringing amazing people like Cary onto the show. And should you choose to support us there, you get special extra things, like answering questions from our guests that no one else hears. All sorts of cool stuff. Cary, thank you so much once again. Just such a treat to get to meet you and talk about the things you are excited about.
Absolutely. So, thank you, Colin. It was a pleasure being here.
Yeah. Listeners, go roll some dice. Roll them well, we hope. Don't let the nat one
Fingers
scare you. Until next time.